What sort of music did you listen to while you were growing up?
Growing up in Paris as a teen, one of my favorite was Queen's.
Queen. Okay. And why?
We Will Rock You had so much power.
Yeah.
It was anthemic for me. It's just like, it's so powerful. And I had seen him on television perform for thousands upon thousands of people, and he has such a strong personality, and he was creating so much drama. Yeah. So Queens, the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, James Brown, Bob Marley, one of my number one, Jackson 5.
And any specific song of Queen? Maybe album or?
Specific songs as far as like for the Beatles, Eleanor Rigby with the Beatles, Love the Strings, Jackson 5, Destiny, Earth, Wind and Fire, Let's Groove Tonight. Stairway to Heaven was just because it was just a story. It went on and on the radio. You could never do that today, but it was just the way it started, just magical, you know. And Bob Marley, Redemption Song is one of my favorite. No Woman, No Cry, Stir It Up.
And when you grew up, what were you looking for in a song or in an artist?
Well, you know, music has been a friend to me, and I think it is. You know, as a teenager, you know, whether you're happy or sad, music is always there as part of it. So when you're happy, you're there at a little party with the kids, and you're going out for the first time, going to those little parties, and you celebrate Siron. You know, there was a disco production from back in the days. But also in times of sadness, music is right there to just support you as well. Yeah. So it's been my friend, my mother, my confidant. It's been many things to me for many years. I didn't realize that until later, growing up and going through my ups and downs as an adult, that I couldn't live without music.
But the thing is, the names that you said, the Beatles, Queen, Led Zeppelin,
James Brown.
It's all it's got groove, but it's also got melody. Is that the thing that you're hooked on?
I'm hooked on melodies. I mean, the story behind my background is I come from. You know, my parents are from my parents came from the Caribbean, the French Caribbean. Yeah. Guadeloupe.
Yeah.
Guadeloupe, and my father was from the Saints, those are French islands, and the groove music that we have going on in the Caribbean is pretty amazing, and I grew up on that as well. Cuban music, and my dad always played all kinds of grooves growing up, from Brazilian to Cuban, and my grandfather was an accordionist player.
Okay.
And I saw him play, and I was hooked on it. Watching him play for the adults, and the adults turn into kids, smiling, and suddenly this wall that was between adults and kids disappeared because music came in and transformed the whole vibe. And that was, to me, as a kid, I took notice, told my mom, I want to do that.
And what songs did your grandfather play on?
Oh, there was traditional island music, you know, and I don't know I wouldn't know how to categorize it. Just island music, you know, and you have so many grooves. I can't remember on top of my head what they were, but each island has created different types of grooves. Yeah. You know, Kassav was a big group from the Caribbean as well, with some Groka, that's what it is. That's the name of the group that I grew up listening to as a kid, Groka.
And for people who don't know it, like me, is there one band or maybe one singer that does something similar to that?
Oh man, I don't know the names.
Okay.
It's very, very obscure. But I remember asking you know, later on growing up, what type of groove is that? And they told me, oh, that's Groka.
Okay.
And it's very powerful groove music, classic. You hear it, the best Groka came from the 70s, 60s, 70s. And if you play it now, it sounds super modern. So I DJ and spin at the same time. So in the future, I would love to experiment with that kind of vibe with house and bring that together.
And if what does it say to you if you play it now that it still sounds so fresh? What
Hey man, it's I call it classic. That's all. It kind of travels through decades after decades, and I consider that, you know, powerful classic music. You know, singer-songwriters, whether it's the Beatles, you know, it has that very special flavor that if you hear it now, yeah, you can't really. I mean, you know that it was done back, but it has this certain. It's like watching a vintage car pass by. They were made differently. They were made with, I don't know, it was made differently. You can feel the love in how they made it. And then I mean, you know, you see it pass by and you say, wow. And it'll stay in your mind.
And it still has quality.
High quality, high values, because it was done, you know, it was definitely done with love and with not really planning. People were just feeling back then, so they just did.
Yeah.
It's not as strategized and as planned as it is today.
Yeah.
They just created music.
And you said, well, then when you experienced what your grandfather did and made the barrier disappear between adults and kids, you said to your mom, wow, I want to do that too. And what did you do then? What did you do actually when you were a kid and you decided, well, I want to go into music?
Well, I started listening a little closer to everything. Like before, it was just like listening, but then I started picking up a dictionary. So I picked up the dictionary, went to the music store, tried to find lyrics, and then I sat down. And Bob Marley was one of my favorites because of the fact that whatever he said in English, which I didn't understand at the time. So what I was saying is like with Bob Marley, what struck me really was that whatever his music made me feel, when I took a dictionary, sat down, and saw what he wrote, there was not much difference between what I felt and what I read. And that's when I thought, wow, that's pretty powerful stuff.
Is there one song that really appealed to you? That you said, well, that I wet...
Redemption Song did that for me, because it was just music in its purest form, acoustic. One guitar, one vocal. And you could hear his vocal cords, you could hear his personality, you could hear the message. He was really saying something, and I think that I kind of growing up, I started going towards people who were saying something, more or less. There was all types of commercial music, but there were those guys like you could feel. It was like James Brown, for example. I didn't know that all those songs, I'm Black and I'm Proud, I mean, those songs came out of an era where there was a struggle for black people in America during that time. Those songs were addressed to the black community. Stand up, you know, be proud of who you are. And not knowing, I gravitated towards songs that had that very powerful, like Destiny from Jackson 5. I didn't know what it meant, what it was about, but it felt so
But
powerful.
in hindsight, why do you think those songs appeal to you more?
It's all about energy. You know, anything vibrates at a certain rate, I think.
Did it also appeal to you because you were maybe a French-speaking kid from the and then you say, well, I want to try to achieve something too?
No, it was not there yet. It was just a love of music, loving music, listening to music, and then starting to sing. Because now I could actually, I knew what they were saying. I could pronounce the stuff more or less, not really. And then you get into, you know, Earth, Wind, and Fire, and that was also very powerful, very spiritual kind of a group. Took me some time to get pretty much everything they were saying, but one of my favorite songs was Reason. And growing up, I remember, because I was a young boy, so my voice was a lot higher. So that's when I developed that love for singing falsetto.
Right.
Reason was magic,
Right.
and this guy, that was reaching those notes, that was very new to me.
Right.
I'd never heard anybody singing like that.
And then were you actually born in Paris? Or
I was born in Paris.
You were
Yeah.
born in Paris, but you still had some family in Guadeloupe.
Yeah, because the whole family was over there.
Yeah, okay.
Caribbean people that live in Guadeloupe usually they go to school, they start school there, and then they go to Paris to finish their studies, and then they get a job over there.
Yeah.
And then when they retire, they go back.
They go back. but you didn't go back. Oh, but
No.
Because you still aren't retired.
That's right.
Yes.
I would go back
Yeah, would you?
every like we'd go on vacation.
Oh yeah.
With the family, and that was an awesome experience because we were there for 2 months. The sun was shining. Leaving the concrete jungle to go to the real jungle had an amazing effect on me. I love nature,
Yes.
and I respect nature, and I feel at my best in nature.
But then you moved to Munich.
That's right.
What made you decide to leave Paris and go to Munich? For me, it sounds a bit strange.
Well, I'm from nature. In my mind, or as a kid, I read a lot of books on all kinds of subjects, whether it was archaeology, whether it was history. But history was a big one for me. So when I got a chance to travel to other countries or experience new cultures, I was like, no fear. I was like, yeah, I'll go. So friends of mine that were going to teach, they were teaching dancing in Germany, and they were like, yo, man, you want to come? I was like, yeah, why not? And I went.
You went to Munich?
Yeah, I went. No. First, I went to another city in Germany, and then I ended up in Munich.
And when you were in Munich, what were your plans? What did you want to do? What?
I had no plans really. All that was just I got into a fight with my parents, and then I went to Germany, and then after that, because I was of age, I was like, I'm gonna go back. It was fun.
Yeah.
I had a good time there. I want to stay there, even though I didn't speak the language, but I didn't care. So yeah, when I went from one city in Germany to ended up in Munich, and I was of age. I was 18. I got in a fight with my parents, but then I was of age, so I could stay there and just experience life. No plans really.
And what did you do? What did you do for a living?
Well, I was teaching dancing.
Dancing.
At the time, and got in touch with various people, other dancers, and then at some point ran into Rob, but when I ran into Rob, it was about music.
Because when you started to teach dancing, did you do dancing too in France, in Paris?
Yeah.
Because that was your main.
No, it was not my main thing, but it was when I was going to school, and then I also studied dancing as well. So because I had taken classes, I could teach the classes as well.
Okay.
So.
And what sort of dance were you focusing on?
Jazz.
Yeah.
But I studied ballet and jazz and street dance, pop lock, all kinds of different,
Yeah.
That's what you do when you learn dancing.
But what did you like about dancing? Or do you like still?
What I liked about dancing, and what I still like about dancing, is that you can use your body just like an instrument. Your voice is also an instrument. And Michael Jackson combined both as a pop star, and that was pretty amazing, and he was always surrounded by dancers as well. So what I love about being able to dance is it's an extension of your emotions.
Yeah.
You know, so you can, whatever you feel like, if you want to create a somber movement, you have to feel that first, and then you have to create it. And it's a matter of just knowing how to work with your body. That was always very interesting. And I saw all kinds of shows. I saw Alvin Ailey as well. I also studied contemporary dancing. And that just like loving all kinds of music, I love all kinds of dances, whether it's flamenco music or flamenco dance, tap dance, I studied as well. Goes with like the 1930s.
Fred Astaire and
Fred Astaire. I watch all those Hollywood movies, you know, all that music and that movement. Yeah, I studied a lot of stuff, you know, back as a kid, just American culture, jazz as well. All that will play a part, you know. So music and dancing have always been connected. And also in the Caribbean, grooves are dense. Certain dances go with certain grooves as well. Just in Africa as well. In certain parts of Africa, you know, you have certain moves that go with certain groove as well. So dancing is something that I still enjoy a lot.